Remember in A New Hope when Luke asks Obi-Wan if R2 belongs to him, where Obi-Wan says he never remembers owning a droid. But why didn't Obi-Wan recognize R2 as they went on hundreds of missions together? Luckily, we have an answer. During his exile on Tatooine, Obi-Wan's sole mission was to look after Luke, and when the time was right, was to help guide Luke into becoming a Jedi Knight. While Obi-Wan was known for wording things very carefully, as he tells Luke that Vader betrayed and murdered his father, but in this case with R2, he was telling the truth. Obi-Wan doesn't tell Luke that he didn't know R2, but that he doesn't remember owning a droid, which is a completely different thing. While he did go on missions with R2, R2 was Anakin's droid and not his own. Obi-Wan in his own way dances around the question, not to reveal too much about his past, but mostly the past of Anakin Skywalker, Luke's father, shifting the conversation to what his purpose was, which was helping Luke get started on his journey to become a Jedi. In the canon novel, The Princess, the Scoundrel, and the Farm Boy, there's actually a scene where Obi-Wan and R2 have a moment aboard the Millennium Falcon on the way to Alderaan. Han was about to turn back to lock up the circuit panel when he saw the old fossil wave the droid over. Luke had a look of intense concentration on his face, as he pivoted around and around in a circle, lifting his lightsaber. This way, that way, clearly lost in his own world. The R2 unit moved to Ben's side as if it was his faithful pet, an image that was further reinforced by the old man stroking a hand over its domed head. "It's good to fly with you again, my old friend," the old man said so softly Han wasn't sure he heard him right. While this is a really nice scene, we didn't get this in the movie because George didn't get that far yet. When writing A New Hope, George didn't think of Obi-Wan and R2 having this connection and going on hundreds of missions together, which this was the reason they never acknowledged each other in the film. At this point, George didn't even decide that Luke and Leia would be siblings to put this in perspective. But there's a much deeper layer to this whole thing that gets overlooked. By the time of A New Hope, Obi-Wan isn't just hiding information, he's carrying the weight of everything that happened with Anakin. Every memory, even the ones with R2, is also tied to loss, failure, and the fall of the Jedi Order, where now Obi-Wan views Luke as the last hope for the galaxy. If Obi-Wan acknowledges R2, it could lead to Luke asking him a lot of questions, and Obi-Wan believed that Luke wasn't ready for those answers yet. Questions about Anakin, the Clone Wars, and what really happened to his father, which would just open a can of worms, which Obi-Wan completely understands. He knows that revealing too much too soon could scare Luke away. While you might agree or disagree with this decision, that's what both Obi-Wan and Yoda believed, that Luke would only know the truth when the time was right, guiding Luke step by step rather than overwhelming him with a reality that he wasn't ready for. Well, in the end, Obi-Wan and R2 did have one final moment together before Obi-Wan was struck down by Darth Vader on the first Death Star. If you want to learn the answers to more unanswered Star Wars questions, I made a video about R2's reaction to Anakin turning to the dark side if you want to check that one out. It should be on your screen now. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.